Welcome back to Merle's Kitchen. Today we're gonna, it's kind of a two-part because we're gonna be making fresh pasta. But since I don't want to waste the pasta, we're gonna be making some fettuccine Alfredo as well. These are the ingredients. We got 90 grams of salted butter, 2 eggs, some flour. We don't know how much we need yet. And I know it looks like a lot of shredded cheese. This is a shredded parmigiano reggiano, and that's 45 grams. So it basically yeah, that'll work. So it's like a 1 to 2 butter mixture. Okay, so anytime you crack your eggs, make sure you do it on a flat surface. Crack it into a separate dish, and then put it in whatever dish you're gonna be mixing in. Now we're showing you the right way to make pasta, or at least the way I like making pasta. We're gonna measure it. We'll put this on here, zero it out, there it goes. And we're gonna weigh our eggs. Our eggs weigh 99 grams. So since I'm using Semolina Flour, we're gonna do, it's gonna be 1.7 grams per 1 gram of eggs. So we're gonna do math. Alexa, what's 99 times 1.7?
99 times 1.7 is 168.3.
168 grams. That's how much flour we're gonna put in here. So let's go ahead and mix this up. That bag, zero it out. Let's get our flour over here. What did I say, 168?
Yes.
Where's my spoon? Technical difficulties, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. My wife lost my spoon. So, 168 grams. Semolina flour. If you're using all-purpose flour, the ratio is 1.63. It's a little different, but it does make a difference. Let's keep all this in there. 126, 130, 140, 150, 163. $168. Perfect. Okay. Now I know there's going to be Italians out there staring at me telling me it's 100 grams per egg. But usually when you make it the Italian way, which is 100 grams of flour per 1 gram of egg, or per egg, it turns out dry, so they have to add a little bit of water to it. Or they don't end up using all their flour. This method uses every single bit of flour, and you don't have to add water. And they're also yelling at me right now because I didn't make a well, and I'm not mixing it by hand. But I like trying to keep my hands clean. So we're going to mix it by flour, or by both a fork, until we get it most of the way incorporated. Then we're going to switch to our hands. Doesn't take very long. It comes together pretty nice. It looks like it's not going to come together, but it will. Now I'll switch over to my hand. Kind of trying to pick some of that flour up in the bottom and adding it to it, incorporating it in there. And the reason why I use 2 eggs is it's 2 servings. So it's 1 egg per person is a really good way to measure out your pasta. So 2 eggs, 2 people. That's mine and my wife's late night snack. Alright, now that we got most of that mixed together, see? Most of that's in there. We didn't waste any flour except for that little bit right there. That's not a big deal. We don't have a whole lot on our hands. We got a little bit. Gonna kind of put that back in here. Now we got to knead it. And you're going to want to knead it until, and make sure you're working on a clean work surface. I did clean this before I got everything out. So make sure you knead it and smooth. And you'll know when it really comes together. It's when it forms a really nice ball. It's almost there. Still a little sticky. But I think that is good. Look at there. See there? I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's close. That is a good pasta ball. Now then, we got to let this rest. You have to let it rest for 10 minutes or it won't be worth a damn. You got to wait for all the gluten and everything to break down and do its thing. So, you let it rest, cover it. Ideally, you want to put plastic wrap on it or put it in a bag or something. Let it rest at least 10 minutes. But I would actually recommend letting it rest for up to 30 minutes. That's going to be your best bet. And we'll be back after it gets done resting. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. I got our pasta machine out. I have my plate for my pasta. I still have the flour out because we're going to need some of that. I did get a knife and a cutting board while I was at it. So here's our pasta dough. And it's really nice and smooth. Now, since it's 2 servings, we're going to cut this in half. Makes it easier to work with. There you go, just in half. While you are using this one, keep the other one covered. And somebody got water all over everything up here. I wonder who that could have been.
Why are you covering it?
Oh, I'm covering it so it doesn't dry out. Now then, and it will dry out. Here's why I'm covering it to begin with while it's resting. So to start with, I kind of get it into a rough square shape. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be messing with it a lot to get it where I want it. Take your flour. Put a little bit in your machine. I like to put it up here too. It makes it a little bit easier to slide and everything. Making pasta is messy. Now then, this machine goes up to 7. 7 is the thickest. As you go down, 6, 5, 4. Anyways, it gets smaller. So start out in the thickest setting. Put it in, feed it in, grab a hold of it on the bottom side. Pull it out. Now then, we're not done with this. You want to send it through a couple times. What you're doing is you're getting any air out that you might have created while you were kneading it. And as an added bonus, you're getting it into a nice rectangle shape. This will probably be the last pass before we start getting smaller. There we go. Now, this isn't an ideal setup, but my clamp won't fit on any of my countertops or my dining room table. So I use a TV tray. Do what you gotta do. Move it down a notch. We're gonna feed it back in. It will smoothen out more the thinner it gets. There. Move it down to 5. They say to let it rest between different settings, but I've never had a problem doing it like this. I'm sure someone in the comments is going to tell me exactly why I should let it rest, and I probably should let it rest. But it's getting late. Look at that. Take it down to 4. This is almost at the halfway mark. I'm actually going to cut this in half because it's almost getting a little too much to manage. It's okay if it gets a little messed up. It'll work itself out in the roller. Take it down to 3. I do want it a little bit thinner than that. I might take it all the way to a 2. Look at that. I think I'm going to keep it right there. Now then, cut this. Feed it to real slow. And let it fall. Oop. And there we go. Here's some that I cut already. Now, then you get it out of there. Put some flour on it. Don't worry about the extra flour. It's just gonna immediately dissolve directly into your pasta water. And I did already get the pasta water on, and I added added a tablespoon of rock salt. Now we'll work with our next one. Again, kind of get it into a square. Right there, going to be perfect. I'm gonna feed it in. That's not the right roller. I'm gonna feed it in. I'm gonna fold them together. Perfect. Move it down a step. There, that right there means it's getting stuck. We can fix that on the next pass. We'll just add a little bit of flour to it. You're not going to hurt it. Alright. And now it's coming out silky smooth. No more rips. Down to 4. Now let's cut this one. It's getting a little too long. I like shorter noodles anyways, especially with fettuccine. We're down to 3. And it's perfect. Perfect. Go ahead and get it cut up. Again, when you add it to your plate, put you some flour on it. You don't want to mess up like I did with this one. This is all stuck together. I messed up on that one. I'm man enough to admit I messed up. Last piece. It was already at a 4, so we're going to roll it out to a 3. Then I will go ahead and put it through the cutter. And our water's already over there boiling, so it's ready. Same thing, add flour. Always add flour to your pasta. Alright, it's going to keep it from sticking together real bad. Anything you got left on the plate, you can toss on there. Alright, now, let's get my lovely wife to follow me over here to the pan. You walk around that way. Okay. That is exactly the type of boil you're looking for. You want the pasta to get in there and dance. Alright. Add it in there. Fresh pasta takes 3 minutes to cook. Put it in there. I like to give it a little stir in the beginning, just to help break up any pasta that might be stuck together. Alexa, start a timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes, starting now.
Okay, we'll be back in 3 minutes. So I got a skillet on here that's just warming up. You don't want it to be hot, you just want it to be warm enough to really melt the butter, even though the pasta water is going to do that too. This is almost done. We have seconds left. Go ahead and kill that heat. So, take it, use tongs. Don't worry about getting pasta water in there because you're going to be adding some anyways. Okay. Well, that in there. Now then, while we have that in there, we're going to use our mug right here. Collect some pasta water because we're probably going to need some. Going to add all your butter there. Kind of spread it out, kind of. And you want it to melt. A little bit more. It takes a little bit, but you don't want to cook your pasta still. You just want to melt the butter just warm enough to melt the butter and the cheese together. The cheese will be added in a minute. Look, already with that butter melting in with the leftover water, it's creating like a cream sauce. That is exactly what you're going for. And as you're flipping it around and whipping it around, it's almost like it's aerating it, so it adds a little bit more creaminess to it. We'll do a lot more of that here in a little bit. So, I mean, how many ingredients was this so far, Lindy? You got flour, eggs, parmigiano reggiano, butter. Not really going to include water, but we did put salt in the pot, so five ingredients for fettuccine Alfredo. And guess what wasn't even one of the ingredients? Cream. You don't put cream in fettuccine Alfredo. Now I'm going to put a little better than half in there. I'll put all of it. I'll put all of it. We're going to start mixing this around. And the more you move it, the better it is, I promise. Already, look at that. Look at that cream sauce in there. That's just butter, water, and cheese. I do want it just a little bit thinner than that, though, so we are going to add some pasta water. Just a little bit. You know, a tablespoon or so. You want all of that cheese melted. You don't want any clumps in there. I should have left some for a garnish, but I didn't. And this is a messy dish to make. Not a whole lot. We're not leaving it on the heat very long. Alright, there you have it. Fettuccine Alfredo. I'm just going to reuse the same plate I had earlier to plate it. I'm just going to put all of it on the same plate. Me and my wife have been married for a while. We can eat off the same plate. You add that butter and cheese sauce on top. Doesn't that look good? Try a bite. Might have added a touch too much pasta water, but I bet it's still amazing. Perfect. Well, hope you learned something. Like I said, you don't have to be a chef to be able to make something, decent. Subscribe, follow, like. See you next time.